talk about cinema and the, and the artifact being the movie theater. So first, I want to talk about stories being stories have always been like a prominent form of entertainment for humans throughout history. People would like to tell tales of heroes fighting monsters and overcoming obstacles to save the damsel in distress, or tales of like ghouls and ghosts that bring chills and give goosebumps. So technology has really advanced throughout history, and so has the medium for being able to tell a story. First, it used to be word of mouth. People would often communicate each other to like either educate each other or tell tales just to inform each other. Then it advanced to sculpting and stone structures. People would inscribe different images onto landscapes and really tell a story that way, visually. The next would be papers, so that throughout that medium, people would write down their thoughts, and it's a more efficient way of being able to communicate ideas and be able to give stories. So that way, there doesn't have to be like a person present to be able to describe a story. The next would be cinema. So at that point, technology got to the point where people can visually convey and really show what they want to show, from images to even sound design. Actors can perform and show what they want to convey to the audience, the attitudes and the behavior of the character. So I'd like to talk about the cinema goer culture, and I'd like to separate it into three groups. It being the casual viewer, the regular viewer, and the cinephile. I'd like to begin with the casual viewer. So with the casual viewer, it's going to be a person that goes probably once a month, and this makes up the majority of the cinema goer like group. These people often don't necessarily care for the movie theater as a medium of viewing a movie. They'd often like to stay at home and view movies via like a streaming service like Hulu or Netflix. They also they only go to view blockbusters or possibly just movies that are like big at the moment. Usually they like to go with either a family or a child to accompany them to be able to watch a movie. Then I'd like to go over to the casual viewer, the regular viewer. I am sorry. This viewer often goes to the cinema probably 2-3 times a month. They like to be able to watch movies for more of a social aspect, to be able to talk to people about movies they like or be able to give their own opinion on a movie. They also like to go in dates with groups of friends or family. These people value theaters as its own specific form of being able to watch a movie, as opposed to staying at home and watching a movie on the TV per se. They like possibly the scent of popcorn or the carpet design, or even the overpriced concessions. Then I'd like to go over to the cinephile. So the cinephile likes to see movies as more of a medium, as a form of art. They like to see it as more of a context of everything that came into play to being able to watch from like the cinematography, the cast, the images, the sound design. They look at the film as more of the different components that come into play to be able to like produce the final product, which is the film itself. Now I'd like to talk about the cinema culture, the cinema theater as the artifact to the culture. So I'd like to talk about setting at the beginning. So with the setting, it really comes down to what the theater wants to accommodate to for the viewer. Some theaters like to show or have like a social aspect to it, so they'd have tables or chairs. So more of a little group gathering to watch a movie as opposed to the individual viewer watching the movie itself. Another form of a setting would be just the standard theater format would be just rows of seats. So each one is like next to each other, each individual person. And lastly would possibly be a grand theater, a theater with like multiple like balconies, so that way the viewer gets a feeling of a grander spectacle, so as to like make the movie feel more of a bigger deal than it usually would be. Then would be, for the cinema culture, would be the type of movie theater. It'd be your standard one, which would be like any standard movie theater, which would be like a mall, a plaza. That movie theater is obviously what most of us are accustomed to, which would be just separate auditoriums and rooms for each screening of a specific movie. Another possible one would be a home theater. So with this one, it's a more private option for sure, but it's a more expensive one too, because you have to buy a screen big enough to be able to fill up a wall so that multiple viewers can see without being obstructed by maybe a smaller screen or people in the way. And then lastly would be the drive-in, which would be in between of a standard one and the home theater, in the sense that you still get the privacy and the familiarity of a vehicle, because you're accustomed to your own vehicle, you have your own private space inside that, but you still get the feeling of a movie theater in the sense that you still have strangers also watching a movie with you, and you still get the concession stand and the silver screen. And then I'd like to talk about technology that comes to play for the artifacts. That would possibly be like rumble seats. These give like a physical immersion into the type of movie you're watching, so that way, like, let's say an explosion happens, your seat rumbles. It gives you that sense of immersion where you almost feel like you're in the movie physically, because you're being moved by the movie itself, all the actions that occur. Another form would be
I'm gonna have to stop
visual.
1 minute.
Visual immersion, which would be 3D, so that way you get a better depth, so that way you can sort of feel like something is coming towards you. It's not physically coming towards you, but you can visually feel like it's coming towards you. And lastly would be reclining seats. So with these, the seats give more comfort and don't necessarily immerse you into the film, but give you a better sense of being comfortable, and as compared to like rigid seats that are usually inside movie theaters. And lastly, I like to talk about my experience.
30 seconds.
I see films every other week, if possible, if I'm not working or at school. I don't consider myself necessarily like a casual viewer or cinephile. I'm in the middle for sure. I like to watch films as just another form of entertainment, but I am able to appreciate film at theater as like a medium for film as opposed to movie theater. If possible, I would rather see a movie at a theater. And I've already informed you on the movie theater as the artifact to the moviegoer culture and my connection to it all. If you would like to know any more information, I would suggest going to a local movie theater. And if you were to like think about watching a movie, I would suggest a movie theater, only because if you think about it, movies are meant for the big screen as opposed to being watched at home by yourself.